So this is how to terminate a Cat5e foil shielded cable with the connector. We're going to peel back the outer jacket with our pair of scissors about 1.5 to 2 inches. We're going to just barely score the outer jacket. We're going to cut this string member, trim it back. We're going to peel back the foil, being very careful not to trim this piece here. This is our drain wire. Peel the foil shield back, take the drain wire and bend it back. We're going to make sure we remember to put our heat shrink on for a later step. Peel back the plastic covering and trim it. Next we're going to, there's a couple different ways to do this, but one trick I like to use is I take the outer jacket that I peeled off before, I separate the members, and then I use it to separate the rest of the cable. We're going to do that for all 4 pairs. I'm going to try to get the memory out of each one of the conductors. Take that by rubbing your thumb and your finger. If you haven't done this for a while, you're probably going to rub your finger raw, but it'll build up over time. Then we're going to start getting our conductors into the right color code, which is white orange, orange, white green, blue, white blue, green, white brown, brown. And we're going to take and manipulate the cable and try to straighten it out a little bit, verifying our color code. If you work the cable and work it, it'll take a lot of the memory out, it'll heat up a little bit, and it'll straighten out. Then we're going to trim the cable back. And then we're going to take our loading bar. There's a cavity on the loading bar, so it's directional so that you can get the conductors in there. You're going to push that down pretty much as far as you can. And then you need to trim this to a specific length. I've created a little guide, cut a little piece of heat shrink here. It's the right length, but it should be about 7.5 millimeters or 0.3 inches. I'm going to put that little guide I've created on here. I'm going to cut the conductors back to that guide. Verify my color code. If you look, my orange has slipped out a little bit. That looks correct. Next, we're gonna, you can do this at a couple of different steps, but we're gonna apply the copper tape. It's important to make sure with the copper tape that you get a good contact with the drain wire. So we're going to take that and apply that right there. Make sure we rubbed on there real good with the drain wire so we get good contact, and wrap it all the way around. The copper tape is to ensure good contact with the strain relief of the shielded connector. So everything looks good. We verify our color code one more time. We're going to take our connector and we're going to bend back the strain relief a little, and then we're going to load the bar. We load the bar, we look into the end, make sure we can see the copper, and then also we can look here and see if we can make sure our conductor has made it all the way to the end of the connector, and we can see that it has. We can take our crimp tool, it's a standard crimp tool, and crimp it. Once we crimped it, we're going to bend the strain relief back into place. Manipulate it a little bit with our fingers. And then we're going to make sure that we've got it bent in without applying too much force. We don't want to crimp the cable per se, but we want to make sure we have good contact with the foil tape. And that's what it should look like when it's all done. And then we'll apply our heat shrink. Our heat shrink goes over the end of the connector. Oh, sorry, we do need to trim back this copper piece. Or sorry, the drain wire. We don't want that sticking out. We're going to get the heat shrink over the end of the connector. The one thing we want to look out for is to not go too far. And if you look at it sideways in a lot of connectors, there is a 90-degree part right here. We don't want to go past that with the heat shrink. That'll prevent us being able to plug it into some of the devices. And at that point we can shrink the heat. We do want to be careful that we do not overheat the wire or the connector. So make sure that we're using the right thing, doing even passes, and heat it down slowly. This probably isn't the best example, because if this is done 100% correctly, the copper tape isn't visible either.